Hi guys, my name is James Beavers, the director and founder of the Little Musketeers program in the UK, and also the CEO and co-founder of the Curtanna platform in the US. I'm joined here today by two remarkable women who are both experts in their separate fields. To my immediate left here is Linda Strachan. She's a bit of a legend in the fencing world here in the UK. She's a two-time Olympian, seven-time national champion, and a recipient of the British Empire Medal for her community services to sport, in particular fencing. And to Linda's left, I'm very privileged to have here with us Dr. Adele Diamond, Tier 1 Canada Research Chair Professor of Developmental Cognitive Neuroscience at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And she's here to talk about how Curtanna and Little Musketeers is helping the sort of that element of brain development in children, something quite different to what we're talking about in terms of sport. Equally valid, and I'm very excited to have this conversation with the guys. I'm going to kick off with Linda. For those people that might see this video and watch this video, Linda, how would you summarise in a few sentences the sort of Olympic sport of fencing? How is it unique and different to other sports?
I think one of the first points to make is that apart from the physicality of the sport, it's probably one of the most challenging sports that there is. People often describe it as a game of chess, combined with sprinting. And for that reason alone, it is unique. You have to be in certain moods against certain opponents. You have to face your own weaknesses and strengths. And for this reason, it teaches a whole host of other issues.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Very demanding and individualistic. And that's partly the reason why I got into the sport.
And you can never switch off, can you? For 1
You
second,
can never
you
switch
can never
off.
go on automatic. Which
No.
is, not many sports can say that. I mean, I think for
No,
1
not
second
at
you
all.
switch off in a fencing match, the opponent can almost see that and feel it
Yeah.
in you. Okay, Adele, over to you. I mean, I really wanted to hear from you about the sort of, give us a background in executive functions and how Curtanna and Little Musketeers is possibly helping those children at that young age in developing those.
Okay, well, to help people understand about executive functions, think about what children need to thrive in school or in life. They need to be able to pay attention and focus and concentrate. They need the self-control not to put their foot in their mouth, to think before they speak or act. They need to be able to think outside the box, come up with creative ideas, be able to problem solve. They need to be able to adjust to the unexpected, whether it's an unexpected good thing or an unexpected bad thing. They need to be able to hold information in mind and play with it, relate one thing to another. Well, all of those are executive functions.
Okay.
Executive functions consists of three core things: inhibitory control, working memory, and cognitive flexibility. At the level of attention, inhibitory control is focused attention or selective attention, being able to ignore distraction. At the level of behavior, it's self-control, being able to resist temptation, to think before you speak or act, not act impulsively. Then there's working memory, being able to work with or play with information in your mind, relate what you learned earlier or heard earlier to what you're learning now, to be able to manipulate things in your mind, like maybe reorder priorities or think of different ways of putting things together. And then there's cognitive flexibility, being able to see things from different perspectives, to be able to flexibly adjust to change. Maybe there's a new possibility that's come up that you hadn't considered. Are you going to stay stuck with what you planned, or will you take advantage of this? Maybe there's a problem you hadn't expected. Can you find a way around the problem so you can still achieve your goal? Maybe you learn new information. Do you have the flexibility to admit you were wrong and take in that new information? So all of those are executive functions. And research shows that executive functions can be more predictive of success in school, success on the job, etc., than even IQ or socioeconomic status. From the three core executive functions of inhibitory control, working memory, and cognitive flexibility, higher order executive functions are built, like planning, problem solving, and reasoning. And Curtanna doesn't only address the core executive functions, it also addresses the higher order, as I mentioned. And James was just reminding me that I had mentioned that Curtanna addresses the heart, the mind, and the body. It's intellectual, it's cognitive, you have to think. It gives a lot of joy and happiness. It also builds your cardiovascular ability, and it helps your body.
Fantastic. And so, having seen the Little Musketeers program here in the UK, and knowing your knowledge about Curtanna and the digitalisation of all that, I mean, how do you see that, and how would you recommend it to mums thinking about maybe putting their sons or daughters into this sort of program? What would you say?
Well, from a coach's point of view, and having seen some of the exercises, James, it really does emphasise what that program does for the development of potential fencers, because it's not just about the physicality of the sport, it's really about all the other social skills that it teaches. And just by witnessing some of those events this morning, some of those exercises, those kids are really in a subtle way being taught about how to be patient, how to get on as a team.
Not thinking of doing the first thing that comes into their mind.
First thing that comes into their mind, thinking about spatial awareness, thinking about hand-eye coordination,
Tactics,
but doing it in a fun environment. And so they're indirectly getting the basis of being a good fencer, but more than that, developing life skills. That's why I would really endorse these programs, because it's not just about making a good fencer, it's really about bringing and honing all those skills.
The whole child. Yeah.
The whole child, and taking a more holistic approach that perhaps other fencing programs and other fencing coaches don't even come close to touching.
I'm not personally concerned with having great fencers. I'm personally concerned with having kids thrive. And the reason I'm excited about your program is because I think that by using the basics of fencing in a playful way with kids, you're helping them develop executive functions so that they can thrive in life. I mean, you can see it in they're having to strategize, they're having to problem solve and be creative, having to stay focused, having to exert the self-control not to immediately go in and, go for the other person. Remember how this person acts so that the next time something comes up, I know how to react to this person. But in order to have good executive functions, it's not only important to train and practice and challenge executive functions, it's also important to enhance, to encourage, to cultivate the things that support good executive functions. And that comes back to the whole child, because you have your executive functions and the prefrontal cortex of the brain on which they depend suffers if you're sad, if you're stressed, if you're lonely, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not physically healthy. Prefrontal cortex and executive functions take the first hit and the biggest hit if any of those things are true. So if you want good executive functions, you have to care that the kids are happy, that they're feeling socially supported, that they're not stressed, and they're physically fit.
Yeah.
And Curtanna, as opposed to a very competitive or mean sports program, is one that the kids love. And the kids support each other as opposed to feeling like they have to compete against each other all the time. They support one another. They help one another. And of course, they're getting physical activity, so they're also physically active. And they're building self-confidence. They're getting the feeling that, yes, I can. And that is so important. And also, if you want good executive functions, you want to try to diminish the things that impair it. So you don't want kids to feel embarrassed. You don't want kids to feel stressed. You want kids to feel like you're there for them. And Curtanna addresses all of these things.
It's so important that that product is shared amongst other coaches like-minded, and you're delivering. I mean, it's a fantastic program because it really digitalises all the lesson plans, so everyone's prepared for their class, and so that you keep the standard going, and you're delivering this product to these young kids who may aspire to be better at what they do, aspire to be elite athletes, but more than that, you're selling this product to the parents, and I think it's a fantastic program, and this platform has really delivered that, and I'm really impressed by what I saw this morning. I mean, this is a program that I wholly recommend to any parent for their children. Not just to be a fencer, but just to teach them skills that may be really valuable for them and later on in life. And for this reason, I really wholeheartedly endorse this program that James has worked very hard to put together.
Thank you very much.
So a lot of sports can encourage executive functions, some more than others. I don't think fencing is unique in doing that, But I think your program does it in a way that a lot of other programs don't. A lot of programs are very competitive, whether it's fencing or gymnastics or ballet. They can be very competitive and very stressful for children. But yours is a joyful program.
Well, the fact that British Fencing has endorsed this programme widespread, it just shows you what a fantastic programme it is. And it's endorsed Curtanna to be the only platform to work with primary schools. And just reiterates everything that we've been talking about in this interview today.
I think that your digital platform helps the instructors to be able to be better and
Empower
less
them,
stressed and get ideas about how to help the kids most. And so that bootstraps it. It scaffolds the teachers in being able to be more present for the kids.
Absolutely empowers them, because we have here in the UK a number of our coaches that aren't coming from a fencing background, because that isn't the be all and end all for this program. It's we can teach them those basics that they need to know, but the most important thing is that they feel confident enough to come in to a class of 15 children, 16 children, and know how to inspire them, get the most out of them. And one more thing, Adele, the platform also links in with the parents. So we want those kids to have that conversation about what they've done with their mum. So each of the parents get an email after the class telling them what their kid has done in the class.
And in terms of language development and the brain that supports language development, like Broca's area, we know that it's conversational turn-taking. The conversation between the adult and the child is what drives it. Not the number of words they have, not how much time you speak to them, but the amount of time you spend having conversational turn-taking. So what your platform is doing online is encouraging that. You give the parents a little bit of information about the class, so instead of asking just how was fencing today, they ask something that the child says, well, how did you know I did that today? And right away they can start to bring the child in to talk about it.
Just want to finish by saying thank you to you both for your time. I know it's very
Pleasure.
valuable to you, and it's been a privilege to sit down here and discuss and share our thoughts with each other. And I hope those that listen to the interview find it equally useful and beneficial. Thank you very much, guys.